Welcome to the Lock Shop with Nielson and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada. (11:02), and it is the Lock Shop. Dustin Nielson with you, trying to recalibrate things after just a stunning Edmonton Sports Talk draft on the Hangout today, in which the commissioner resigned following the draft, and we are now in search of a commissioner on at least an interim basis. The Lock Shop, it's just great for Lock Shop today. We've got NFL action coming up right away. We've got a full slate of NHL games, some of which are underway in like 2 minutes. Hus is going to pop by as well. We've got some exclusives already up as well. And we've got people in the chat for the Lock Shop saying solidarity and vote Surveyor Brett for commish. And yeah, we'll see where this goes. But if you missed it on the Hangout today, the EST draft of Saturday Night Live characters and sketches went over exactly as we kind of would have thought it did. And the vote will be up here at some point on our EST Twitter account. But we do have a full slate today. This is great. Jake's going to pop by here from CoolBet. Hus should be by momentarily. We'll take a look at all of your starting goalies that have been confirmed so far today as well. And here to everybody who's popping in to the Lock Shop today. We do have a busy day in the National Hockey League. And then we get the one game, which is coming up, kickoff at 1 o'clock here, 2 hours away between the Dolphins and the Jets. When we say like full slate of NHL games, we're talking full slate here. Rangers and Flyers plus Red Wings and Bruins just about to be underway. Maple Leafs and Blackhawks at noon today. Oilers and Capitals at 1. The Habs and the Sharks at 1:30. Devils and Blue Jackets at 1. Preds and Blues at 1. Kings and Ducks at 1:30. The Penguins and Sabres at 4 o'clock. The Islanders and Senators at 5:30. Then we still have a full slate tonight as well. The Jets are in Florida to take on the Panthers. That one at 6 o'clock tonight. Tampa Bay and Carolina at 6 o'clock. That should be a fun game. Colorado and Minnesota at 6:30. Calgary and the Stars at 6:30. And then the Kraken and the Canucks, the late game tonight at 8 o'clock. Hus now slides in from Winnipeg Sports Talk. Hus, I don't know if you watched any of the draft that we just had, but full-blown debacle.
Listen, I expect nothing less. I mean, if you guys are going to start it off with a banger draft in the new home on EST, they're good. Like I was real busy. Rick Bonus is coming back today, so we were talking to a bunch of people getting the lowdown on the Jets. But I was following along on Twitter. And listen, it wouldn't be an EST draft if Eric was not tweeting out in all caps farce. But when I saw Iwanek was leveling some punitive measures to one of the contestants for something that happened before the draft that had even started, I'm like, here we go. I'll probably have to go back.
You have to go watch it, dude. It was maybe the 2 best hours we've ever done. It ended, spoiler alert, Iwanek resigns at the end of the draft as commissioner. We never even got the punishment he was going to drop, and I don't know if you saw it, but Eric tweeted out text message, private conversation between all of us last night going at the commish about one of his draft rulings. So it's completely off the rails here. We're not sure Edmonton Sports Talk fires up on Monday. Let's just say that right now.
So
Like,
let me get this straight. Eric is the Tim Peel of EST?
He is the Tim Peel of EST. Sent out a couple screen caps of our text messages last night. I think that's what Matty was going to suspend him for, but we never even got to the suspension because Matt resigned following the draft after we all drafted in solidarity in protest. All four of us claimed we were drafting in protest because of the ruling. So, yeah.
So what was the ruling?
Well, the ruling that we didn't like was, so we're doing a Saturday Night Live draft, and Matty's ruling was, and this came up last night, he said, if somebody was taken as an impression, so we had to draft one famous impression from Saturday Night Live. So if somebody was taken as a male cast member, you couldn't also draft their impression as an impression. And we're like, yeah, but cast members would do multiple things on one episode. So like Will Ferrell got selected second overall into the cast member category. So we couldn't draft his Alex Trebek. We couldn't draft his Bush. We couldn't draft anything that Will Ferrell did as far as that goes. But we could still draft sketches that he was in. And we're like, well, if we're allowed to draft sketches, how can we not draft the impressions? And so it was a real mess, Hus. It was a real mess.
You know what? Let me just, I'm sure he hasn't had a lot of support, but let me just quickly shout out Iwanic. That is without a doubt the most thankless job. I have participated in these drafts. You in particular, probably the biggest culprit of all, working around these rulings, trying to push all sorts of angles when it comes to these things. You know what? You need a man of integrity. You may not always agree with his rulings, but I do believe that Iwanic ruled the draft scene at EST and the Nielson show with the best interests of fairness in mind. So I give Iwanic a lot of credit. And now, I mean, what happens going forward?
Well, we're looking at, and we're already discussing it. We've got a lot of suggestions. Interim commissioner to get us through like a Christmas draft in December. And then in the new year, we'll see where this goes. We'll see where this goes in the new year. But
is Hernan available?
Well, Hernan would be available in the off season. But once the elk season fires up, Hernan's busy. YouTube Trev has already declined the opportunity. He's just shaking his head. He wants nothing. He's not ready for it.
Listen, you can't put YouTube Trev in that situation.
We've had Quinn Phillips, who's been on the Hangout a few times. Quinn is a seasoned veteran broadcaster. I think she could hold down the fort a little bit. We've got some other guys we wouldn't mind getting in there, but they're kind of tied up until like 9 or 9:30. So we'll find somebody. We'll find somebody, and then we'll see where it goes from here. So. Yeah.
Well, with all that controversy, I'm just on another note, we've got like a shitload of NHL games today and an NFL game this afternoon and best bets to come for the NFL this week. I was up late last night looking at the Sunday slate. I'm actually pretty fired up.
Okay, well, what about yesterday? Let's get into it. Triple header, not really thrilling football games, like a couple blowouts. Detroit Lions obviously letting us down in a major way. But what was the big takeaway from yesterday's action, buddy?
I'm really pissed off at Pete Carroll for not kicking a field goal there at the end of the fourth quarter. You're down 17. You have a fourth down. You know you have to score 3 times. Pete, kick the field goal. What are we doing here? You need the points. And sure enough, they went for it and didn't get it. There was some terrible, actually, my biggest takeaway yesterday is that I know coaches are getting more aggressive on fourth down, but for Christ's sake, guys, have a play that has a chance of working when you're going for it on fourth down. I mean, everything from Dan Campbell and that ridiculous fake punt that he ran, and credit to him, he owned it, said it was a terrible call afterwards. But there were some fourth down plays, including that one that I speak of in the Seattle game, that literally had no chance of working. We saw the same thing in the Washington-Dallas game. It was not a great day for coaches being aggressive, thinking things through, and giving themselves a chance to succeed. But listen, the Cowboys are a wagon. Although I do caution people before they go signing up for Cowboys futures to win the whole thing. They have beaten nobody this year. They have absolutely crushed the worst teams in the NFL over and over and over again. They have 2 wins that you could potentially say are impressive, borderline, and that's they killed the Rams at home. The Rams are pretty good, and they beat the Chargers. But that's pretty much it. Like, here are their wins this year. Beat the Giants, beat the Jets, lost to the Cardinals. We forgot about that. Crushed the Patriots, got killed by the 49ers, beat the Chargers by 3, beat the Rams at home by 23. That was the game I mentioned. Lost to the Eagles, although they really should have won that game, but they didn't. And then they beat the Giants, the Panthers, and the Commanders. Like, we talk a lot about Miami having beaten nobody, but I'm going to throw the Dallas Cowboys in that. Now, I'm not saying that they suck, although they certainly didn't look very good when they went up against a top team like San Francisco, and they also weren't able to get it done against Philly. But for a team that is 8-3, they have wins against exactly 0 teams with a winning record. So there you go. The Rams are 4-6. The Chargers are 4-6. The Giants, the Jets. I mean, all these teams are bad. So I know they're a very popular public team, and there's probably some Cowboy fans going, hey, you can only play against the teams you play, for sure. Well, you lost to the Eagles, and you got embarrassed by the 49ers. So, but hey, maybe they're getting better as the season goes on. They do have some big games coming up. They got Buffalo. They got Philly coming up over the next few weeks. So I'm interested to see what this Dallas team does, because they do look really good. But again, a lot of teams look really good playing the Giants and the Commanders.
Yeah, 7 of their 8 wins have been by 20 or more. You know, like they roll these bad teams, and then the 2 big occasions they played in so far have not worked. We're going to set up today's slate. Jake's going to join us here, and I might as well bring him now because I know he wants to get on the Cowboys and Lions as frauds this season. So let's bring in Jake Bolmoss from Coolbet. He can help us get through the NHL slate as well. Jake, how you doing today, buddy? Jake, I don't know. You might be. Are you? Yeah, there we go. I got you now. Yeah.
I was itching to get in on this conversation. I spoke about it on Monday on this very program. Came on here. I said the Lions are schedule frauds. I said the Cowboys are schedule frauds. And I said, for the Cowboys game, I said, take their team total. They kill every bad team. Sure enough, 45 points last night against the Commanders. I was on it. I don't know if anyone else was on it, but it's just a way to go for Cowboys games. Until they beat someone of substance, I'm not going to believe that they're any good. And it's the same thing with the Lions, Dusty. I mean, the
Lions did beat the Kansas City Chiefs to start the season,
right,
on the road.
I'll bring that game up.
In week 1.
So,
I mean,
like
week 1 wins.
Week 1 wins don't count. Week 1 wins count. What are you talking about?
Dusty, they haven't beat a team over 500 since that win.
And that win was okay. Again, you guys are triggering me here. That is a bullshit win. Okay, that was the Canarias Tony game. Do we need to go back there?
This is what I got, Dusty. The Lions have beat. This is the record, the combined record of teams the Lions have beat this year. 33-50 is the combined record. I just looked at it. So you got 8 wins. Listen, you're not going to apologize for 8 wins. It's the National Football League. Like, that's what teams come here to do. But until they beat someone above 500, how can we take them seriously? Especially after that loss yesterday. And they now lost how many? 1 billion Thanksgiving
But they
games
did beat a team above 500. The Kansas City Chiefs.
In week 1. And,
I just don't understand how week 1 doesn't.
Done?
I just don't know how week 1 doesn't matter. I don't get it. Like,
I mean, you don't think the team is more of who they're going to be now than they were in week 1?
So the Kansas City Chiefs' last 5 games that they've won were against the Bears, the Jets, the Vikings, the Broncos, and the Chargers. Like, there's not really a great team in there that they beat over the last 6 weeks either, right? Like,
maybe they're frauds too.
I mean, good teams beat bad teams. That's what happens. And then the difference maker is when they play one of the good teams, which is why the Eagles are a great team this year, right? Everybody else is just a bunch of good teams. I don't know. I don't buy it as a straight up schedule fraud. I think the Lions are better than that.
What about the Ravens game? What about the Ravens game?
Yeah, they got pumped by the Ravens.
They got killed by the Ravens. Yeah. And the Ravens are a good team, in my opinion.
Okay, but like
if you can't beat a team like the Ravens, or even be in a game, they got lost 38-6 to the Ravens. The Seahawks game I'll give you because I think that one went to overtime, and
the
game stands out to me as
the Chiefs lost 24-9 to Denver. You know, teams have bad losses. Teams have bad losses.
I like how you want to drag. I like how you want to drag Huss's team with.
Well, no, I had the Chiefs up.
Dusty, you can go ahead and drag my team in with you as well because my team is awful. But I'm not saying you should apologize for 8 wins. I'm just saying, we're going to have to see something from the Lions here down the stretch. I don't know. And they don't really play anybody.
Dusty,
Cowboys.
You got to be concerned about this defense. Like, the Lions defense right now is, that's got to be concerning. I mean, they somehow Houdini'd in that Bears game and won, but still gave up 26. They gave up 38 to the Chargers. Obviously, the 38th spot to the Ravens. Like, I think back to the Bucks game and how good they looked, and even the Falcons game early on. But I don't know if they lost guys or something, or are teams just sort of
they've lost some pieces defensively. I mean, the defense is no team's going to be perfect here, boys. But I like, for example, the Niners. They lost 3 games in a row to the Browns, Vikings, and Bengals. Okay, they have beaten prior to that their wins to start the season when we were like, oh, the Niners are a Super Bowl contender. They beat the Steelers, the Rams, the Giants, the Cardinals. Like, those teams are all shit too. And then they beat the Dallas Cowboys, and we just said the Dallas Cowboys are a schedule fraud. So what does that mean about the Niners' first 5 wins of the season? They didn't beat anybody.
Maybe there's no good teams. Maybe there's no good.
Is anybody?
Well, what I'm saying is I think you can pick apart.
I'm saying the Lions can't.
I just think you can pick apart every team's schedule and say that's a couple of bad losses, right? Like, you basically can, with the exception of the Eagles.
We're going to see. Like, some of these teams are about to hit gauntlets. Like, we're going to know if the Eagles are legit. We're going to know, what the Bills are by the end of, the next few weeks. The problem with the Lions, Dusty, going forward, and I mean, Huss already touched on the defense. They don't play anybody. They play the Cowboys, and they really don't play anybody else. It depends on how you feel about the Vikings. They've got them twice in the last 3 weeks. But, we might get to the playoffs, and I said it on the show on Monday. We might get to the playoffs with the Lions being, a 12-win team and getting a home playoff game. And then, if they end up losing, I mean, they probably won't lose that first game because it probably won't be a good team out of the NFC. But, if they end up losing big, say, in the second week of the playoffs, I wouldn't be shocked. That's all I'll say. It just feels like, yeah, and you're right. A lot of teams you can pick apart. I mean, I just happened to be the Lions that I singled out. It was also because they had 7 wins or 8 wins, and that was one of them when it's just the average person sees a team with 8 wins and they're like, well, that's a good football team. But it doesn't always necessarily mean that's the case. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. They don't have a lot of tests. So you might be in a really good spot by the playoffs, Dusty.
Well, I think by the playoffs, they could be in a pretty good spot and could be playing at home. So that would make a big difference.
Great stuff in the chat right now. Mark A. Lions won because KC had all caps 12 drop passes. And, of course, the nice libero move by Kadarius Toney to volley that pick six.
But, I mean, we can break down every team's loss and point to 6 or 7 moments where they lost the game,
I'm just reading the comments. I'm just reading the comments in the chat.
Well, I guess I'm saying to Mark, come on.
Richard Croft, I'm the Lions groundhog fan and saw my shadow yesterday. I feel I should hibernate for 6 weeks. First, not to lose any more wagers on them. And secondly, I don't want to be part of any jinx. And then Sobkirk, this is a beauty. Man, I'm here for Jake's rant, but his internet needs a bit of an upgrade.
It's bad, eh?
It's just it's cut out a couple times, but it's been fine. Part of the rant was
okay. Well, let's quickly do a few hockey picks.
Yeah, let's do hockey first, and we'll get into NFL. Yeah.
We got a ton of games, and as actually a lot of them are starting. Well, I guess the Leafs and Blackhawks are starting at 1, in an hour.
Yep.
And then we've got, how many 2:00 games are there?
Well, the Rangers are already leading the Flyers 2-0, and Detroit's up 1-0 on Boston. So we're already cruising along here. It's a busy day.
Okay, we got to get right to this. How the hell are the Oilers minus 140 favorites on the road?
Buddy, that's moved. They were minus 134 this morning when I had Pat on with the show earlier today, and I asked him the exact same question. Jake, you got an answer to this?
No, I mean, it would actually, if I'm sniffing out the fishy line, it makes me think Oilers is the play, even though, at what point in any game should the Oilers be favored, especially against a Caps team who basically been rolling. I think they've won,
They've
won
five in a row.
Good
Yeah.
5 in a row. Yeah. I mean, that seems fishy, right? I mean, I totally agree with you, Hus. I know I was listening to EST this morning and you guys were talking about it as well. It makes me think Oilers is the play, but how can you really put any of your hard-earned money on the Edmonton Oilers right now? Even though I know, Dusty, you just keep rolling out those parlays.
Well, we threw out that parlay today because we're doing a watch-along, and I'm like, we got to get a 5-1 to ride with. So,
listen, I respect it. I'd be doing the exact same thing. I did it with the Blue Jays all year, and you know how that turned out. So, no, it makes me think Oilers. I mean, if I would have to play that game, if you're willing to
just
take
because
the
of the line being where it's at, right? You're like, what the heck's going on?
Just because of the line. Yep.
Huss, where do you come out on a fishy line like that?
I'm getting a second mortgage to bet the Caps. I mean, look,
I figured.
Like this might be the most ridiculous line I've seen. They've lost all 3 games. They looked horrible in their last game, and the Capitals are absolutely rolling right now. Listen, there's absolutely nothing that I can gather would give anybody any confidence other than what we've been saying for the last month. There's no way these guys can continue to be this bad for this long.
Double trap. It's a double trap. Maybe it is the Caps. Maybe Caps is the play.
Count me in on Washington at plus 119. And again, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But how do you not bet that at plus 119? I don't know. I am.
Well, with the way, I mean, they're 8-1-1 in their last 10. I mean, they've won 5 in a row. Nothing about it makes sense to me. I mean, now I threw the Oilers into that, but I would not bet this game straight up. There's no way.
Are you expecting Skinner to play?
Yeah, I would. Well, I don't know, actually. That's a good call. If anybody's in the nasty chat, I've just been doing this SNL draft and losing my mind for the last 2 hours. I don't know if it's been confirmed.
DFO just they have Stuart Skinner, Darcy Kemper, unconfirmed. So there's not really, I mean, these afternoon
it's an early game, so there's no morning skate. I thought maybe, they'll probably go back to Skinner, but Pickard was better in the last game, but I would think they probably go back to Skinner. I mean, in the end, it doesn't really matter, Huss. And the Oilers are going to hemorrhage grade A chances one way or the other. So it comes down to whether or not they can do better on that aspect of it, I think. What else on this NHL slate you guys liking today?
Well, here's another weird line. Nashville is a road favorite in St. Louis. And, Nashville, I guess Nashville's won a few games as of late. I think they've actually won 3 in a row. But St. Louis is 10-7-1. The Preds are, 8-10 right now on the season? Playing a little bit better as of late. I guess I think probably the reason for that line is they're expecting Joel Hofer to get the start against UC Saros for Nashville. I think I still like St. Louis in that game, though. I mean, as bad as St. Louis has looked in their 2 games against Winnipeg, they've been really good and winning consistently in other nights. So that one sort of jumps out to me. Geez, we got Pittsburgh and Buffalo. That's a tough one. I like Ottawa.
Yeah, I like Ottawa too. I was looking at them too.
Ottawa hasn't played since Sweden. And the Ottawa Senators right now, they've only played 15 games this year. So, I mean, I know you look and see them at the bottom of the standings, but they're in fact have a better winning percentage than Montreal or Buffalo. So they got to get some wins going on right now. The Islanders are just the most mid team. I mean, they're 7-6-5. They've got 19 points in 18 games. They did get a win in their last game coming into this one, but I kind of like Ottawa to get onto a nice start at home. Little afternoon game here. So I'm looking at Ottawa. I'm looking at Washington. I'm not going to touch the Jets game, but big boost. Bones is back. That was the big news this morning. Rick Bowness met the team today. He's going to be behind the bench. How about Scott Arniel? 9-2-2 for the Jets as the interim head coach. They're 2 points out of first place. And then you got Dallas at minus 183 against Calgary at plus 154. I'm tempted to hit that puck line in that game. Dallas coming off an OT loss to Vegas, but they have been so good and so consistent this year. I think this is going to be a real tough place for Calgary to go in tonight. Oh, and I believe Vasilevsky's back. That's the other big news today. Let's just see if they've got that confirmed down here with Tampa. Yeah, Vasilevsky going up against Antti Ranta. Although I heard that Antti Ranta is something like he was 13-0 in his last 13 home starts. Started last game against the Oilers, got pulled, but still got the win.
Yeah, well, he didn't get pulled because he sucked. He just got pulled from that game because I don't know what was going on there. Because he had they were up 4-0 or something when he didn't come back out after the first. So I don't know what was going on.
Maybe they figured the game was over and they just rested him.
Yeah, that might have been the case on that front. So there's some picks from Hus. Jake, what do you got in the NHL slate today?
Yeah, I mean, Hus, I was even looking at that three-way for Dallas, -112 on Dallas to win in reg. I mean, that's
you know what? Okay, let's go with that. That's a nice one.
Not bad either. I've been on Dallas. I mean, they lost a tough one in overtime to Vegas a couple nights ago. I was on them, I think, for that replacements parlay that we ended up hitting on Monday night. Because that line was really fishy. A Rangers team that had been rolling coming into Dallas, they ended up losing 6-3 to Dallas. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you there, Hus. The Canucks line's interesting. They're starting to skid a bit. We're getting a short number on them on the road in Seattle. Seattle had just beaten them a few games ago. Yeah, it's a tough board, honestly. And with all these afternoon games, it's really tough for us to put a parlay. We're almost forced into the evening. But, yeah, I don't know. Colorado's another one that I think is a team really since that 8-2 loss. They have one loss to the Preds, where I think they blew it in the final minute. But they've won every game. And even if you look at that Preds game, probably should have won that one since then. And you're getting them at -122 in Minnesota tonight.
The other thing that I was looking at, too, I don't think you guys have mentioned the game yet, the Kings-Ducks. Los Angeles in regulation is -122. The Ducks have lost 4 in a row, kind of come crashing back down a bit. The Kings have won 3 in a row. So that's two teams going in different directions right now. Don't love it at -200 on a money line play, but in regulation at -122, I kind of like the Kings this afternoon as well.
Yeah.
The Ducks have lost. Well. The Ducks lost to Colorado 8-2, lost to Florida 2-1, lost to St. Louis 3-1, and then lost 4-3 to the Habs. Those last 3 games were all at home as well. So, which is the same as this one. So I don't know. I mean, I like that one as well. It's just tough. You're right, Jake. It's tough to put together a little parlay today unless we want to put something together. Is there 2 games maybe from the late? What's there? 5 later games? Hus, you want?
I think you guys like the Sens.
We like the Sens. We like the Sens. Yep. What else?
I think definitely that one.
What else is on that?
I could definitely get on board with the Stars and Rag, Hus, if we want to go there. Oh, looks like Hus.
Hus, you're muted, buddy. I think you're muted.
Sens money line, Stars in regulation, and Avs money line +511 in the
okay.
+511 in the computer. We could probably get that to +550 or so.
Okay, let's do it. Avs money line, Sens money line, Dallas Stars versus the Flames in regulation will be the NHL parlay for the night games. Anything else in hockey, boys, or should we slide on over to the NFL?
Let's get to the football.
All right, let's get to the football. Ready. 3 games obviously already behind us. Another one that's going to be kicking off here right away. Hus, any last-minute thoughts on this Dolphins game?
Not really. I mean, I am making a small wager out of principle on the home dog in the division. I can't believe I'm betting on Tim Boyle, but I am. And I think Miami, Miami was there was a track meet for the first however many weeks of the season. It sort of slowed down a little bit, the Kansas City game. They only scored 20 last week against the Raiders. So we'll see if the Jets can keep them in this game. The Jets have been pretty good at home. Their defense has been great at home. They've beaten Philly. They've beaten Buffalo. So can they keep this within a single digits? We will see. But I'll jump on that I'll jump on that plus 9.5. But it'll be a fun game to watch, I guess. Better than not having a football game on right now. But there's some other games this weekend that I'm far more excited to wager on and talk about.
Jake, quickly, just on this Dolphins-Jets game, then we'll get into Huss's best bets here.
Yeah, I just took one bet as well. I got a Jets team total. I grabbed it under 13.5. I haven't looked at the cool bet line. Let me just double check for you guys here. You can get it 14.5 minus 115. So, that's where I'd probably go with it. Honestly, I was in Buffalo last week for the game. Jets. They couldn't move the ball for the life of them, no matter who was the quarterback. It was Zach Wilson. It was Tim Boyle, whoever. Actually, the only time they moved the ball, who it was? The punter making a big punt throw up the sideline. That was, I think, their biggest passing play of the game. So, if Miami can get a stop of the run, and, the Miami defense hasn't been great by any means, but if they can stop the run today, I think it's going to be a long, long day for, the Jets fans. So I'm under their team total today myself.
All right, Huss, let's get into it, buddy. What do you like on this NFL board? We'll build a little partner parlay after, but what do you got for your 4 best bets?
All right, I actually took 6 last night. I'm in on 6 games, but my favorite games for the week. Whoops, let's just get back to it. Well, listen, let's start with Pittsburgh. I'm back on Pittsburgh. I did have a bad feeling about them against Cleveland, and they didn't win. But to me, it's so over for the Bengals right now that Joe Burrow is done. And I think we're going to see kind of an emotional hangover for Cincinnati. I was expecting a close game regardless of it. And now Pittsburgh, it was 2 last night. It's now back to minus 1.5. I mean, obviously for the purposes of this show, I will take the minus 1.5, but I will caution folks if they want to get on Pittsburgh, I think the better bet is the money line. We saw last week a couple of teams that were 1.5 point favorites win by 1. This has happened a number of times. It happened with Green Bay and Atlanta earlier this year. So, we've got 3 games in a row that are 1.5 point spreads. So if you're taking the underdog in those games, for sure, take the 1.5 and maybe they lose by 1 and you're still going to win. But I think that if you like Pittsburgh in this game, you're better off laying minus 122 on the money line. Because listen, they might win, but they don't win by much. But I'm going to take Pittsburgh at minus 1.5. And listen, I've been talking about this for a while. I've been looking forward to this game for 3 weeks. I'm going to ride with the Texans at home to the Jags. This is the game for the AFC South in a lot of ways. The Texans have a real soft schedule the rest of the way. If they beat the Jaguars as they did earlier this season in Jacksonville, they will be they'll be first place, and they'll have the tiebreaker if these teams are tied at the end of the season. Listen, I know Jacksonville won that last game and they looked pretty good, but consider who they were playing. Houston has been one of the great stories, the surprises of the entire season. CJ Stroud, he's done it already, this team. I think that crowd, the Houston crowd, you don't really think of being a factor. I think that place is going to be rocking Reliance Stadium on the weekend. So we're liking the Houston Texans as well. Here's another 1.5 point line. I've never seen so many. There's 5 lines that are 1.5 right now, guys. This is actually nuts. And I think I'm betting all of them. I'm going to take the Broncos at home, minus 1.5 against the Cleveland Browns. The Broncos are playing great right now. Their offense is clicking. Russell Wilson, I know he's a cornball, but he's actually playing some pretty good football this year. He has not been turning the football over. That's going to be key. And I'm just not too sure how well the Browns are going to be able to move the football on Denver, considering their quarterback situation. So, again, this is another one that if you're betting this on its own, just look at the money line at minus 119. But again, for the purposes of the picks, we'll lay the 1.5 points and take the Broncos. listen, the other game that I'm thinking of, I can't believe again, it's another 1.5 point line, but I'm looking at the Rams right now. Like the Cardinals have looked better with Kyler Murray. And I mean, they have been in these games. I'm still not sure they really want to win these games overall as an organization. The coach kind of knows what the assignment is. They're getting some looks. But the Rams coming off that big win last weekend against the Steelers. Although I guess the one thing that makes me nervous is the status of Cooper Kupp. And I'm just going to take a quick look to see if we've got any update on Kupp right now. No, not a whole lot. So looks like he's going to be a game time decision. Although it says that he's back on the field. Yeah. Well, anyways, I like the Rams here, but I actually have a couple other games that I think I'll roll with. And you know what? I might take. Well, listen, I do like the Chiefs, and I don't think I'll make it an official pick. But I actually feel like this is going to be an FU game by Kansas City. And listen, I think the Raiders have been a heck of a lot better since they fired McDaniels. They're playing for Antonio Pierce. But that Chiefs team, knowing them as well as I do, they are going to be in a very, very angry mood. And don't count on them doing nothing in the second half again. They are going to be throwing the football. Guys better be catching the football. And I actually think they sort of run it up there. But the other pick, I'll go away from that Rams game, and we'll take the Chargers plus 3.5.
Okay.
Listen, they're at home. Baltimore should win this game, but the one thing that the Chargers do is find ways to lose really close games. Justin Herbert is still, I mean, I can't believe what he's doing right now and how badly he's getting let down by that 32nd ranked defense. But the fact of the matter is we're getting the hook plus 3.5. I think this is a 3-point game. So I'll take the Chargers. So Steelers, Texans, Broncos, Chargers, all against the spread. Those are my best bets.
Jake, what do you got? What do you like this week, buddy?
I don't know, I'm having trouble finding the game that Hus didn't cover there. Chargers.
I know I've got a few of the
honestly.
same games as Hus too.
Honestly, Chargers was one of them. I mean, look at that line, and you look at both teams. I like the Ravens. I think they're a solid team, but they're a lot different without Mark Andrews. That's a nice safety blanket that Lamar's lost now, and I mean, you got to think Chargers are in desperation mode at this point. The AFC, that bottom of the AFC wild card, is really anyone's for the taking at the moment, and that's going to lead me into my next pick. I don't know what it is about, maybe because I was in Buffalo last weekend, but I got Bills fever right now. Bills plus 3 at the Eagles. Doesn't that seem a little fishy to you guys?
Not really.
Coming off a big win against KC. But really, what have the Bills done? They beat the Jets pretty well last week. But the Eagles, I don't know. They find ways to win football games, which is concerning. But at the same time, who's hungry in this situation? Bills 6-5. They're in a bit of the gauntlet of the schedule. They got to be in these games. We're getting 3 points in Philly. I like the Bills. Besides that, Hus laid out a lot of good ones. I think I'll probably just stick with those two. Chargers, I agree with Hus. And then Bills, I think, would be the one that – and give me the New York Giants. I want them to win outright against the Patriots, but that's strictly from the heart, and I don't actually advise anyone to take the New York Giants. But hopefully, off that win last week, they keep it rolling here at home against New England. I'd love to see New England pick up another loss and fly up those draft rankings, boys.
Hey, you know what TD stands for? Touchdown and Tommy DeVito. He had 3 of them last week. I put it this way, I don't think we could even consider touching that game for our partner parlay.
No, we would not. Let me quickly run through the games. Hus, you guys basically hit on all these games. Hus, I am with you on the Steelers at minus 1.5 on the road against Cincy. I think you laid out some pretty good cases on that front. I'm going to get on the Titans minus the 3.5 at home against the Carolina Panthers as well. You mentioned the Kansas City Chiefs. It's a big number. I'm a guy who likes to bet bigger numbers, so I'm going to get on the Kansas City Chiefs here, minus 8.5 on the road against the Raiders. As Hus said, it's kind of a screw you game to everybody. Kansas City Chiefs get back on track. And, I think I am going to take the Eagles at home here, minus the 3 against the Buffalo Bills, and kind of go head-to-head in a little bit of action there with Jake. So I'd be on the Eagles minus 3, the Chiefs minus 8.5, the Titans minus 3.5, and the Steelers minus 1.5. That Jags-Texans game is a very interesting one because, being riding hard on the Jags this year, they have 3 losses. They lost to San Fran. It wasn't even close. They lost earlier in the season to the Chiefs, and then they got crushed by the Texans. Outside of that, they've actually been pretty good against some relatively decent teams. They doubled up Pittsburgh, who we seem to like every single week, 20-10. I was on them in that spot. They've won 6 of their last 7, and I'm staying away from this game one way or the other. Mostly not because of the losses to KC or San Fran, but them getting pumped by Houston just totally caught me off guard. But since they lost to Houston, they beat Atlanta by 16. They beat the Bills by 5. They beat the Colts by 17. They beat the Saints by 7. They beat the Steelers by 10. And then they beat the Titans by 20, mixed in there, that big loss to San Francisco. So I don't know what to expect because the Texans have won 3 in a row as well, I believe. So I'm absolutely torn on that football game. I don't know what to do, but I think it's going to be the game of the week. I can't wait to watch it.
So we like Pittsburgh, right?
Yep.
We're in on Pittsburgh. And listen, I think let's just go money line on this.
Sure.
Yeah, with these short odds, we might as well. You're right.
We've got that in there. Now, you guys are on the other sides. I think I do like Buffalo with the hook, to be honest, in this Philly game. I think this will be close. But with this being on the opposite sides, let's leave that one out. We've got where are you on Denver and Cleveland? Do you like the Broncos money line there, Dusty? Or
I mean, I like the Broncos a little bit more than Cleveland in that game, and they were one of your picks. So I would be okay throwing the Denver Broncos in a parlay if that's what we wanted to do. Yeah, I'm not opposed to it. That's for sure.
Jake, what about you with Dusty's Titans pick? I kind of think that this is one of those games that, we all think, oh, Carolina's going to win at some point. Sooner or later, they're going to get it done. I kind of think that this is a game that, they flex their muscles a little bit. I mean, they've lost 5 of their last 6. They did beat the Falcons. That was that Will Levis debut game. They only put up 14 last week against the Jags, 6 the week before at Buffalo. Although they played 3 games at home, they're coming back at home, playing one of the worst teams in the league.
Yeah, 3 games on the road. Yeah, 3 games on the road in a row. Yeah.
Maybe this is going to be a massive Derrick Henry game.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about the Titans. I've lost all sights on that game. Like, do I even want to turn that game on my TV this week? Is one of the questions. I don't know. I'm not gonna. I won't. I don't have any feel on the Panthers either. So
I like the Rams pick, Hus. I like your Rams pick, Jake. Where'd you come out on that Rams game? Rams Cards.
Yeah. I like the Rams. I'm not too sold on the Cards, even with Kyler Murray. In another scenario where the Rams need wins, the Cards are in a great draft position right now, and they're probably better off taking close losses and working up the draft board and deciding what they want to do with that. So, the Rams are kind of in no man's land right now. I think the Rams, need this one. So, you could go Rams money line, Steelers, Rams. I know Hus is probably leaning in to get to the Chargers game is what I'm guessing. But
well, I mean, we could do that. Although, listen, the Chargers do really make me nervous. I mean,
I'm always worried about the Chargers. Yeah.
They are team. I mean, listen, we could just kick it old school, getting on these 1.5 point lines. Steelers money line, Rams money line, Broncos money line is plus 503.
Well, that's a pretty good number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before the boost. And again, we're not even worrying about spreads in this one. We basically just need these teams to win. I don't mind a good old-fashioned money line parlay every now and then, guys.
Well, when you're sitting at 1.5 anyway, I mean,
Yeah,
might
I
as
mean,
well pull the trigger on it.
It's not like it's really it's not chalky by any means either. I mean, their favorite, like Dusty just said,
Yeah,
by
it's
one and
tight.
a half.
Yeah, it's
really.
not like we're taking even like 3.5 point favorites to put them on a money line, right? It's almost essentially a pick 'em. So yeah, no, I like that, Hus. So Jake, you got that? We got that one. Throw that in.
Yeah, I've got it.
Okay, Rams, Broncos, and Steelers on the money line. That'll be available in the exclusives page at CoolBet, where I mean, you guys are gonna have a ton of NFL stuff up again. And what about college action this weekend?
Yeah, we'll have our usual Pat and Jake Saturday sweat. I'm sure we'll have some stuff for Michigan, Ohio State, which is at noon Eastern tomorrow. So I guess it'll be pretty early for you guys, 10 and 11. We'll have some college up there, obviously a ton of our, regular NFL stuff. And then we'll have our lock shop ones in there. I'd love to talk about some of the stuff we have for today.
Yeah, lay it out, buddy.
I was just about to say, I'm just looking. Is Patty putting together a Patty G's tease for the weekend that we'll find in the lock shop section?
Yeah, actually, that's a great question. He does already have it ready, so here it is. He sent it over to me, and it's not in the exclusive section yet, but it will be soon enough. So he's going Texans plus 7.5, Chiefs minus 3.5, and Ravens plus 2.5. So that's going to be Patty G's tease. I think right now that comes out to around a plus 160 number, so he'll get a little bit of a boost on that. But yeah, let's lay out some of these NFL ones for today's game. And then
by the way, hey, just quickly before we go, the hockey parlay is in right now, plus 590. Big the boys in the
that's
the
a nice
shop
boost.
Care of the lock
yeah, that's a nice
plus
boost.
590 right now. Ottawa to win, Avalanche to win, Dallas over Calgary in regulation. Just got the wager in right now, folks. If you want to ride with us, it's in the CoolBet exclusives. All right, Jake, for this, what should we be getting on? Oh, they've got a
full slate
field goal prop.
Yeah, Patty and I went through these today. Some great names. If you guys go and you just, maybe you don't want to bet them all, but if you want to bet just for names, there's some great ones in here. We got Field Goal Friday. Obviously, that's our extended field goal prop. Hus just mentioned. So 5+ field goals in the game. Buy Tua, get one free. So that's a Tua prop for 250+ passing yards, 2+ passing TDs, and Dolphins spread. Our usual snooze fest and a barn burner. So if you think there's going to be a ton of points, if you think there's not going to be so many points, we got 2 set up there, similar numbers. We got the door crashers, which is usually our house callers. We got it as door crashers. It's Mostert and Breece Hall to both record 1+ touchdowns. I know a lot of people on our social media contest today were saying Mostert first team. So it's been a popular name. We have the Everything Must Go. It's Tim Boyle to record 2+ INTs and the Jets team total under. That's probably one that I'd look at. Although 2 interceptions can get
these names are amazing.
Can get a little dicey. We got buy one, get one 50% off. So that one's Tyreek Hill for 100 receiving yards and then Waddle for 50 receiving yards. That's 50+, sorry. Thank goodness it's football. A little play on TGIF. It's the over, 2+ passing TDs and a Quinnen Williams sack. And then finally, sales on Mostert everything. Raheem Mostert to record 70+ rushing yards. And I threw in the first TD for the people that were asking for it. So, I mean, I know people are big on it. If you think Mostert's going to have the day against the Jets here, that's the one you want to be on. Juicy plus 780 on that one.
I am so locked in on the Friday afternoon snooze fest. That to me, plus 370 on the under and over 3.5 field goals. Like if they get 3.5 field goals, just with the way that the Jets offense works, I think we're trending towards the under. This is basically a bet on the Jets defense. And can the Jets score? Can the Jets kick a couple field goals? They'll probably more likely to do that than score touchdowns. And that one's nice. Plus 370, a nice little boost from what we would normally get on the field goal prop. The field goal prop on its own for today. Let's just see what it is. Plus 116 for this one. So essentially you're tying that with the under 40.5. And I know Miami does score a lot of points, but the Jets have been real solid at home. plus 370. So that's my favorite of those exclusives for the record.
Yeah, I know, Hus, you probably got to run here. I'd love to just squeeze in these NHL exclusives for our hockey bettors too. Some great names as well. So usual West Coast wagon for a Canucks exclusive. We got deals on all your favorites. So it's 3 night favorites, Hurricanes, Stars, and Avs all to win. We use promo code PASS is our assist exclusive. Crosby, Kucherov, and Robertson all to record an assist. Our blue line deals, McCarr, Morrissey, and Hedman all to record a point. Net crashers is Kyle Connor and Nathan McKinnon to both score. We got Jack Friday for Jack Hughes to get a goal and assist and 5+ shots on goal. The 2-4-1 special, Tim Stützle 2+ points, Matt Tkachuk 4+ shots, and Brock Besser 1+ goals. How sweet it is, Nylander 2 points, Carlson 1 point, and Pettersson 1 goal. And then Whack Friday, a bit of a fade the Stars. Matthews under a goal, McDavid under 1.5 points, and Quinn Hughes under an assist. So, I mean, if you want to just, you think it's going to be a weird Friday, a Whack Friday, then that's the one you're looking at plus 950. So a lot of good options. And then, Dusty, I mean, if you want to talk about the EST one quickly before we got to sign off here.
Yeah, if you want to quickly hop in on that, it's still up there. That game's going to be starting in an hour. We got our pregame show coming up right away. Draisaitl with a goal, McDavid 2 points, Bouchard with a point, Oilers to win, if you can believe it, at 5-1. That is plus 500. Last season, with the way they were rolling down the stretch, that would have been like plus 220 with the way that they were rolling offensively.
I saw plus 500. I saw plus 500. I was like, oh my God. I was like nervous about it, but then I remember the Oilers still beat anybody.
Yeah, exactly. So that's right. So I'm sure there'll be some Edmontonians hopping on that one. Hus, what's coming up on Winnipeg Sports Talk, buddy?
Well, we got a big one today. Bones is back. The big news this morning that Rick Bowness has rejoined the team. So we'll hear from him as well as reaction from some of the players. Sean Reynolds is going to join us down from Fort Lauderdale. We'll also have Mike McIntyre from the Winnipeg Free Press jump on. We'll do our weekly NFL notebook with Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. We'll drop the marbles and we'll get ready for what should be a great show heading into the weekend. Enjoy. So you guys are watching the game. You're just going to basically be doing a live stream.
Yeah, we're just basically streaming us watching the game. We got the mics and cameras set up in the main area. And I'll do the entire game. So it should be a lot of fun. This
is going to be gift city. Like... If Surveyor Brett and Yuch and some of the ESTers, you better be figuring out a way to have a recording going on this, because I have a feeling that this is going to be a gold mine of gifts from EST. That's the Black Friday gift to all the Edmonton
keeps giving
talkers.
Right? So yeah,
we need like a Barstool style gambling cave. Have the boys sit down for their watch party and I'd love to hear some of the takes on the Oilers team as the games are going on.
Jake, you know what? And let's fly this up the flagpole to the bosses. We've been talking about this for a long time, getting us all together in one place. The only place that really makes sense to do it is Las Vegas. So maybe it's one of the NFL playoff weekends where we set up a live stream in one of the books. We crush beers, we make bets, we react live. It would be all-time lock shop content. So let that be a New Year's resolution for all of us to make that happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's going to do it for the Lock Shop today. Winnipeg Sports Talk coming up. Our pregame show for the Oilers and Capitals is going to begin in about 3 minutes. Boys, enjoy the football this weekend.
Later, guys.
Later, boys.
All right, we've got a very quick Fantasy Football 5. Basically just going to look at this game that's going to be starting here right away. If you have any start and sit questions, you got to fire them over right now, because we're going to be going for about 3-4 minutes max today, because we do have the Oil Stream pregame coming up with Tommy Gazzola. He's going to settle in here right away. Make sure you have the autoplay on YouTube. That'll take you right on over. That'll take you into the pregame. Then the autoplay will take you right into our watch-along for the Oilers and Capitals as well. But as far as this game goes today, if you're looking at must starts, it should be pretty basic. Fantasy Football 5 brought to you by our great partners over at Century Casino on Fort Road. I just got distracted by NHL scores. Rangers are up 2-0 already in that game. As for this game, I mean, we'll see if it ends up being the underplay. I'm not too sure there's anybody really on the New York Jets. I mean, you got to kind of go with what you've seen so far from these guys. I mean, Mostert could have a huge week. Tyreek Hill, you're starting all your regular Dolphins. It's as simple as that. On the Jets side of things, what are you supposed to do with Boyle? Like, if you have any involvement in the Jets running game, start those guys. Outside of that, there's really not much else going on here. Corey at work says I have Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson. Like, you basically have to start those guys. That's just how it works. Garrett Wilson, I mean, I don't love it. What are your other options? Very quickly. Corey, got to go quick because we're going to wrap this up here right away because we got pregame coming up. What are your other options as opposed to Garrett Wilson? I guess that's what I'm kind of wondering right now. Mark is saying Breece Hall or Jerome Ford this week or Zeke against the Giants. I might go, well, their only offense they have would be Breece Hall today, so I'd probably go Breece Hall. Guys, thoughts on Chase, Dusty? Don't feel good without Burrow throwing him the ball. Yeah, nobody would feel good about that, but you still have to start Jamar Chase. It's that simple. He has to start every single time. And Javier Montenegro says, should I start Ray Finkel? No, you do not start Ray Finkel because Finkel was Einhorn and Einhorn was a man when it was all said and done. Corey, if you have any other DJ Moore, oh man, this is gross. I'd probably start DJ Moore ahead of Garrett Wilson. I just don't think the Jets are going to get anything from Boyle, and that comes from a bitter Lions fan who watched him whenever he got an opportunity not look very good because he's a career like fourth stringer getting an opportunity here today. All right, that is going to do it for the Fantasy Football 5, more like the Fantasy Football 3, because we've got a huge afternoon of Oilers content for you here at Edmonton Sports Talk. Pre-game show coming up with Tommy Gazzola. Cass going to be joining. Is he hopping on, or what's the mic's not on? Just tell me.
No Cass. Gager might be stopping by. Do you want to stick around for a few minutes?
Yeah, I can pop in.
If you don't want to, you
yeah,
don't
so
have to.
we'll figure that out.
Yeah.
So that's coming up, and then we've got the watch along right here on YouTube, and of course on TuneIn and at EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Don't go anywhere. Oil Stream pregame coming up right away.